When I was pressured to propose to Phoenix, I saw his group chat: if she dares to bring up marriage, I'll dump her immediately. I blinked, and my mood suddenly soared with joy. Every ex-girlfriend of Phoenix received a huge breakup fee when they split up. I've waited for 3 years. Finally, heading so filmly. It's my turn. It was the 3rd year of my relationship with Phoenix. My mother suddenly called to urge me to get married. Celine, whenever no sigh. When do you and Phoenix plan to get married? Phoenix currently has no intention of proposing to me. I frowned, feeling extremely annoyed. My mother persisted. If he doesn't propose, can't you take the initiative and propose? You're almost 28. What you should do is seize the time to marry Phoenix. For a girl, no matter how successful her career is, it can't compare to marrying a good husband. Back then, when I was sick, if it weren't for Phoenix finding a doctor to perform surgery on me, I might have died long ago. And your father's company would have gone bankrupt without Phoenix's help. Phoenix is such a good man. You mustn't miss out on him. Girls should take the initiative when the time is right. After hanging up the phone, I sat on the sofa in a daze for a long time. It wasn't until Phoenix came in and wrapped his slender, powerful arms around my waist that I was jolted out of my thoughts. When I looked up, his handsome face, which had once made me swoon, gradually enlarged in front of my eyes. His beautifully shaped thin lips moved closer to mine. As our breaths mingled, I caught a whiff of rich rose fragrance that didn't belong to him. I had smelled this scent on him for 3 consecutive days. Clearly, having fulfilled my inside. Before he went out in the morning, he smelled of fresh gardenia. I thought this as I leaned back on the sofa. Phoenix leaned close to my ear, his voice husky with barely suppressed desire. Was my kiss not deep enough? What are you thinking so intently about? I didn't want to deal with him, so I closed my eyes and remained silent. When Phoenix tried to go further, I stopped his wandering hand. I'm on my period today. My menstrual cycle is always very regular. But since Phoenix doesn't care about me, naturally he doesn't remember it either. He frowned and clicked his tongue, then stood up briskly. Soon, let out a low sigh. The sound of water came from the bathroom in the bedroom. I adjusted my torn collar and let out a long sigh of relief. Looking around, my eyes landed on his phone that he had left on the sofa. The screen suddenly lit up, and a message popped up. I picked up the phone. It was someone in his group chat tagging him: if you want to break up, let me know. I quite like her type. My heart trembled violently, listening to the continuous sound of water in the bathroom. I opened his group chat. Phoenix, why have you suddenly changed? You've been with this girlfriend for 3 years. I guess he's planning to settle down and get married. Get married? I have no such intention. In my eyes, she's just something to kill time. Even if you don't, you can't be sure she doesn't. Humph. If she dares to mention marriage to me, I'll dump her immediately. The screen was filled with and then came the message that had just popped up. I blinked, and my previously irritable mood suddenly turned elated. I heard that every ex-girlfriend of Phoenix received a huge breakup fee as compensation when they broke up. My mother was right. Girls really should take the initiative when the time is right. I think it's time for me to propose to Phoenix. The reason I started dating Phoenix was purely because I was overly obsequious. 3 years ago, I partnered with a senior to open a game studio. Phoenix was one of the investors my senior brought in. In the early stages of our business, when facing investors, both my senior and I were extremely fawning. Because I was especially good at reading people's expressions, I was even more obsequious than my senior. Phoenix misunderstood that I was pursuing him. During a dinner party, as usual, I drank on Phoenix's behalf all night since he couldn't hold his liquor well. On the way he was driving my senior and me home, he suddenly said, "You've been chasing me for so long without getting a response. Aren't you tired?" I was dizzy from drinking and asked in confusion, "What?" Just then, the traffic light turned red. Phoenix turned to look at me, and an air of arrogance was evident on his stunningly handsome face. "There's no need to be shy. There are many people who like me and even more who are pursuing me." I immediately realized that Phoenix had misunderstood and tried to explain. "You're Miss." And next second, my senior, who had passed out and leaned on my shoulder, pinched the soft flesh on my waist. The pain instantly reminded me that Phoenix was our investor. So, I fell silent. When Phoenix parked the car in the underground garage of the community, he placed his hands on the steering wheel. His black hair casually fell over his forehead, and under his sharp eyebrows were pitch-black eyes. His delicate features gave him an unrestrained and casual look. In the dim light of the night, he chuckled unpersuaded. "You should know that I've had many girlfriends. And there's someone I've always kept in my heart. I won't accept you. So give up." I didn't want to lose his investment, so I continued to stay silent. However, this silence transformed me from a humble party in an herb and drama to a lovesick fool in a cheesy romance drama. My senior was right. After all, Phoenix had already rejected me. I was foolish enough to believe her and continued to fawn over Phoenix in the same humble manner of a subordinate. But one day, something seemed to have gone wrong with Phoenix. He unilaterally announced that he accepted my pursuit. My senior then said, "It's okay." His longest relationship only lasted 3 months. And all his ex-girlfriends received a large breakup fee after they broke up. Thinking of Phoenix's incredibly handsome face, his well-defined 8-pack abs and narrow waist, the huge breakup fee, and my parents' constant urging me to go on blind dates, I had to admit I was tempted. I half-heartedly agreed to my senior's not-so-brilliant idea. But 3 years had passed. My mother had started urging me to get married. Yet Phoenix still hadn't dumped me. And there was no actual evidence of him cheating. Even the rumored first love of his, who was supposed to be in Germany, never showed up. To be fair, in these 3 years, apart from not loving me, Phoenix had fulfilled his duties as a boyfriend quite well. He was passionate in bed and presentable in public. When my mother was sick and couldn't get a hospital bed, he fixed everything with a single phone call. When my father's company was on the verge of bankruptcy, he provided support and invested more money. Everyone around me praised him, saying that he was worth all the effort I'd put into chasing him. They all hoped that I could marry him, even though he had issues with boundaries in relationships and significant flaws in his approach to love. But they were going to be disappointed. After I propose, he'll just dump me. Then I'll be left heartbroken, crying while holding the huge breakup fee. After Phoenix fell asleep, I took out my phone and checked Taobao. I had nearly 8-digit savings in my bank card, but I still couldn't bear to place an order for a 99 yuan ring. While I was hesitating, his belittling words about me in the group chat and the perfume smell of the strange woman on him flashed through my mind. I immediately closed Taobao and switched to Pinduoduo. After carefully selecting a 9.9 yuan ring, I finally fell asleep contentedly. I set the proposal date on Phoenix's birthday. I decorated his seaside villa for a party. To make this proposal perfect, I secretly informed all of his friends. "I sincerely invite you all to Phoenix's birthday party this Saturday and witness the culmination of our relationship." Not long after I sent the group message, I received a series of question marks. I replied to the most talkative one among his friends, "Yes, yes. I'm going to propose to Phoenix at the birthday party. Remember to keep it a secret for me." As expected of the gossipy one, the night before his birthday, Phoenix looked at me with extremely complicated eyes. All night, he hovered around me. Hesitate to speak. I knew he wanted me to ask what was wrong so he could casually bring up the topic of not considering marriage. But I couldn't let him have his way. I stood on tiptoe and kissed his cheek, acting coquettously. "Honey, shall we?" Phoenix stiffened. For the first time, he pushed me away, even though he never usually refused such things. "Didn't you say you've been feeling tired lately?" I nodded, putting on a disappointed look. "Okay. Then I'll go to bed first." I lifted the quilt, covered myself, and quickly closed my eyes. About 10 minutes later, there was a rustling sound in the room. I secretly opened my eyes and saw Phoenix bending over, rummaging through things on my dressing table. After a few minutes, he picked up his phone and left the room. I got up and went to the door. Phoenix was sitting in the living room, talking on the phone. I couldn't find the ring at home. "Are you sure she's going to propose tomorrow?" I couldn't hear what the other person said, but Phoenix visibly became irritated. "If she really dares to force me to get married in front of everyone, I'll break up with her immediately and make her lose face in front of all of them. Hearing this, I went back to bed and lay down comfortably. On Saturday, I opened the package delivered by the property manager, took the ring, and drove straight to the villa. Without flowers or gifts, I went to celebrate Phoenix's birthday with a sincere heart. That night, a lot of people came to the party. All the people who knew the truth looked at me in a very strange way. There were looks of pity, disdain, let out a low sigh, and amusement. They didn't hide their eagerness to watch the show at all, and their eyes were firmly fixed on me. Phoenix was the same, but there was a hint of hesitation and reluctance on his face. When the 8-tiered cake was wheeled in, I lit the candles and smiled at him. "Happy birthday, honey. Make a wish." Phoenix gave me a complicated look and blew out the candles in one breath. He said meaningfully, "Spending this night peacefully is my biggest wish." Too bad his wish was doomed to fail. The next second, I knelt down on one knee in front of him, looking at him affectionately. "Phoenix, I love you. Let's get married." There was an uproar at the scene. Out of the corner of my eye, those who knew the truth all wore expressions of "I knew it." Phoenix, on the other hand, had a stiff expression and stood there motionless. No one at the scene cheered for me to make him agree. Only a chorus of sneers filled the air. I showed an embarrassed look at the right moment. I looked at Phoenix in a panic, hoping that he could help me out of the awkward situation. Phoenix didn't care about me, so naturally he wouldn't stand up for me. After a moment of silence, he smiled faintly and said, "Before we started dating, I told you that I had someone I liked. Right? I know. But you liked me later. Otherwise, why would you have been with me for 3 years? I think it's time for us to get married." Although Phoenix had never said that he liked me, as expected, Phoenix denied it. "I don't like you. I thought you knew that our relationship was just for fun." My face instantly turned pale. But my fingers could tremble. My teeth could bite my lower lip. My voice could choke with sobs. "Phoenix. What? What are you saying?" Phoenix shook off the hand holding the ring. And his voice was cold. "I mean, you've crossed the line. I've never loved you. And it's over between us." The ring rolled to the ground with a clang. I raised my hand to wipe my eyes. And tears fell embarrassingly. I stared at Phoenix stubbornly, widening my eyes and begging him not to treat me like this. But Phoenix just turned his back to me unfairly. Amid the jeers of the crowd, I couldn't bear it any longer and stumbled out of the villa. The chili peppers are so spicy. What should I do if I can't stop crying? Also, hadn't fulfilled the end session. How much is the breakup fee? After the protagonist of the proposal left crying, the people at the party began to discuss freely. To be honest, Phoenix's girlfriend is quite pretty and has a good figure. Of course, if she weren't a stunner, how could Phoenix have dated her for 3 years? TSK. 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 It's a pity she's out of luck. She proposed to Phoenix just when that person came back from abroad. That person is Phoenix's first love in his heart. To avoid being misunderstood by his beloved, he naturally had to cut off all ties with her completely. Section id article truck. As they chatted, someone who had just gotten off the plane and rushed to the party, harboring ill intentions for years, called out to Phoenix, "I'm short of a partner recently. You don't mind if I go after your ex-girlfriend, do you?" Before Phoenix could answer, the friends beside him burst into laughter. Fun, Ethan. Are you serious? Otherwise, do you think what I said in the group was a joke? Ethan looked at Phoenix's ugly expression and smiled faintly. I don't think Phoenix will mind. After all, his true love came back 3 days ago. Following Ethan's gaze, Dawn appeared at the party in a passionate red dress, swaying gracefully. The scene fell silent for a moment, and those who knew Phoenix's feelings all looked at him. Amid the dazzling colored lights, she smiled brightly and walked towards Phoenix gracefully. "Phoenix. Happy birthday." Phoenix smiled and said thank you. But there was no joy in his heart as he had imagined. It was clearly a breakup scene he had deliberately staged for the girl he had been secretly in love with for a long time. But the image of Celine running out crying kept replaying in his mind. When his gaze inadvertently passed over his good brother Ethan, Phoenix's eyes darkened for a moment, and an unknown feeling of restlessness welled up in his heart. He couldn't help thinking in his heart. What if Ethan really went after Celine? The next second, he firmly denied it. No, Celine liked him so much. Moreover, his breaking up with her was just a temporary measure. Ethan beside him didn't know what Phoenix was thinking at the moment. He shook his wine glass and watched the beautiful couple in front of him with a smile from the corner. He thought that Phoenix had better be tied to Dawn for a lifetime. In this way, his 2 years of enduring jealousy to get close to Phoenix wouldn't be in vain. Yes, Covey too. Since he saw Celine again, he knew he had to make friends with Phoenix. He wanted to get Celine. I went back to the house where I lived with Phoenix and started packing my luggage. I must put away this diamond necklace. I can't let go of that limited edition handbag either. Sizzle. And that Patek Philippe watch. Other stubborn and sunny heroines would definitely not take these things away. But I'm not like them. I'm a woman with a high sense of self-worth. Once given to me, they are mine. I won't let any of them go. After packing, I dragged my suitcase and walked outside. Then, what on a low sigh, I bumped into Phoenix, who was coming towards me. He stood in the entrance hall, hands in his pockets, staring at me intently. Shouldn't he still be enjoying his party? I couldn't help but grip the handle of the suitcase tightly. Phoenix's eyes were dark as he questioned, "Where are you going? Is the company sending you on a business trip again? Do you really need to take so much luggage for a business trip?" He was calm and composed, as if nothing had happened. As if he wasn't the ex-boyfriend who had rejected my proposal and publicly announced that we were over just 2 hours ago. There was nothing to say. I dragged my suitcase and walked outside. When I passed by Phoenix, he suddenly grabbed the suitcase. I didn't know what he was going crazy about. I looked up, polite and courteous. "What's the matter?" Phoenix's breath caught, and his chest rose and fell. Suddenly, his tone softened. "I'm sorry about tonight, but I didn't mean to break up with you. Don't be angry anymore." Break up? But with no intention of breaking up? My expression almost got out of control, and I blurted out instinctively, "Aren't you going to give me the breakup fee?" Why does someone who has been in a relationship for a month get a breakup fee? When it comes to me, who has been in a relationship for 3 years, there is none. In an instant, Phoenix's expression turned very ugly. His handsome face twisted, and he said in disbelief, "Were you with me just for the money? Our relationship at the beginning was due to a misunderstanding. But after being together for 3 years, I'm not heartless." Half a year ago, my parents hinted over the phone that I should visit Phoenix's parents. At that time, Phoenix and I were having dinner in a restaurant. After hearing that, he didn't say anything, just showed a playful smile. At that time, I knew that Phoenix had never loved me. I won't love someone who doesn't love me. So I fell in love with his money. With red eyes, I smiled bitterly and said, "Otherwise, are you going to marry me?" As soon as the words fell, tears fell. I wiped my face hard and said in a calm tone, "3 days ago, there was a strange rose fragrance on you. Was it a new girl you met? Were your first love in your heart? Or a new employee in your company?" When the first love was mentioned, Phoenix's eyelashes trembled. It really was his first love. I showed a bitter smile and dragged the suitcase to leave. Breaking up is good. It makes room for your first love. I'm sensible enough to leave first. Remember to transfer the breakup fee to my card. Phoenix took a deep breath and blocked the door. The breakup today was just a show for her. I didn't mean to let you leave. Everything between us will be the same as before. This was the first time I had experienced Phoenix's shamelessness. I was so angry that I laughed and slapped him across the face. "You broke up with me just to make me your mistress? Dream on." With a slap mark on his face, Phoenix's face instantly turned livid. "Don't be ungrateful. Once you leave, you can't turn back." When he said this, he was excited and kicked my suitcase away irritably. The suitcase wasn't fastened tightly. All the gifts he had given me spilled out on the ground. There happened to be a pair of clay figurines among them. We got these clay figurines last year when we went traveling. They were molded after us in a certain town. In the brightly lit ancient town night market, I pulled him, who was feeling uncomfortable. and we sat on an old-fashioned bench that had been there for years. The old man who made the clay figurines happily praised us. The young man and a girl are really good looking. They match so well. Grandpa will make a pair of figurines for you. May your love last forever. The old man had good craftsmanship, but his judgment was off. Phoenix and I wouldn't last long. The clay figurines he made were also completely broken. The relationship that started with a mistake ended in ruins, just like these little clay figurines. I should have let it go long ago. I bent down and put all the items except the little clay figurines into the suitcase. After closing the suitcase, I looked up at Phoenix and said softly, "I won't turn back. It's all over." With a bang, he slammed the door loudly. Phoenix left without looking back. I let out a sigh of relief and squatted on the ground, feeling relaxed. After thinking for a while, I called my senior, "Make me the person in charge of the branch company in S City. Then you and Phoenix will have a long-distance relationship. The person in charge has to stay there for at least half a year. It's okay. We've already broken up." The night I arrived in S City, I received a text message about a deposit in my bank card. The breakup fee in 8 figures was indeed an astronomical amount. I counted the zeros at the end of the transfer and laughed for a long time, before my mouth almost hurt from laughing. I started learning on the internet how to be a qualified ex. A most authoritative answer on ZHI was, regard yourself as a dead person and cut off all contact with your ex. I blocked Phoenix's phone number and deleted his WeChat. After thinking about it, I went to Douyin and unfollowed him. Just after I finished the operation, Douyin suddenly recommended a video to me. In a magnificent villa, under the dazzling lights, a handsome man was wearing a black high-end custom-made suit. He held a wine glass gracefully in one hand and casually put the other hand in a suit pocket. In the noisy environment, he exuded a low pressure of irritability all over his body. Even with a sullen face, his every move revealed an alluring laziness and nobility. However, just when the atmosphere was lively, the crowd surrounding him suddenly made way. A bright and generous girl in a red dress walked towards him in the center. She was smiling and chatting. I didn't know what she said. The originally irritable man showed a little smile on his face. The video was posted by one of Phoenix's friends. I instinctively glanced at the caption of the video, "A perfect match made in heaven." Then I looked at the tags of the video, "After going through many hardships. Reunited after a long separation. Reconciled after a breakup." So this was Phoenix's first love who had been in Germany. Presumably, the rose fragrance on him was also hers. I followed the trend and liked the video with other passers-by, and left a comment saying wish you a long-lasting relationship 99. Then, let out a lull sigh. I closed my phone in boredom. A momentary misunderstanding. A 3-year relationship. I was calmer than I had imagined. Even not long ago, in the eyes of outsiders, Phoenix loved me very much. Although he was cold, he would pick me up and drop me off at work. He didn't like traveling, but as long as I said I wanted to go, he would accompany me. He didn't like showing affection in public, but when I tried to kiss him, he would be the first to lower his head and kiss me. When we first got together, I really didn't have any feelings for him. Girls often fall in love through companionship. A year later, when he treated me differently from others, I fell in love with him. I thought he would fall in love with me just as I had fallen for him. Unfortunately, having fulfilled YMSI, he didn't. Thankfully, I also love money more. Everything was just right. I closed my eyes and had a sweet dream. On the 7th day after Dawn returned to the country, she organized a gathering of friends. Phoenix also attended. Dawn was Phoenix's first love. The one he had longed for but never had. Whenever Dawn appeared, Phoenix would always be by her side. As long as she needed him, he was there. The only time he couldn't do it was at his birthday party not long ago. That day, Phoenix dumped Celine in front of Dawn. After Celine left, Phoenix was distracted. He danced with Dawn in his arms. Although he was usually a good dancer, he stepped on Dawn's feet several times that night due to his distraction. Even after the dance ended, he made an excuse about something urgent at the company and left early. He drove along the familiar road. A friend called him and said, Don't tell me you regret breaking up with Celine? Phoenix denied it. No way. He loved Dawn. And Celine was just something to kill time. But 3 years was long enough for Celine to leave a mark in his heart. Phoenix felt a bit reluctant. He thought that since Celine had been with him for so long, he should treat her better. For example, secretly keep her in his small house. As he thought about it, he returned to the house where they had lived together for almost 3 years. He wanted to share the good news with Celine that they wouldn't be apart. But Celine refused. She also asked him for a breakup fee. When Phoenix was in a daze, Dawn noticed. She reached out and took Phoenix's hand that was resting on his knee. And with a smile, she brought up the topic of their previous conversation. Phoenix. They all say the houses in Shangxi are very livable. Is that why you often stay there? Phoenix thought about the ordinary business district around that house. The greenery that didn't match the housing price. And the mediocre property management. Compared to other better residences. He didn't like it that much. The only reason he often stayed in Shangxi was that Celine liked it there. As Phoenix nodded absently, Dawn said meaningfully with a smile. I also want to move there. Do you have any recommendations? The friends started to tease them. Recommend what? Just move in together. Dawn shyly looked at Phoenix and didn't deny it. Let Dawn move into the house he shared with Celine. Phoenix felt a bit resistant. He smiled gently at Dawn and said, okay. He decided to ask his secretary to buy another flat in that neighborhood tomorrow. After the gathering ended, Phoenix took Dawn back to the house in the city center. Dawn entangled with him in bed for a long time. After it was over, although his body was satisfied, Phoenix felt empty inside. He missed Celine. He wondered if she regretted breaking up with him. At 3 Phoenix's longing for Celine reached its peak. Regardless of Dawn, who was sleeping soundly in his arms, he got out of bed, left Dawn's cries behind, and drove away. On the empty road, there were only a few scattered cars. He drove along the familiar road, thinking about what to say when he saw Celine. Should he coax her a bit and buy more guests? Before he could figure it out, he had already returned. After hesitating for a long time, he opened the door, and an empty atmosphere greeted him. He had only taken a few steps when he stepped on something under his foot. He looked down and saw the small clay figurine that had been broken that day. Phoenix suddenly felt flustered. He entered the room and shouted Celine's name loudly. There was no one in the room, and no one answered. Time in the house seemed to have stopped at the moment when he left after their argument. There was an indescribable dull pain in his heart. This time, Celine really wanted to break up with him. On the third day after arriving in City S, the video of my proposal being rejected was secretly recorded and uploaded to Douyin. It went viral out of nowhere, with millions of likes. The comments, having fulfilled what I'd say, as if manipulated, were all scolding me. Netizens even gave me the nickname Desperate Chaser. I wasn't sad. In fact, I was a bit excited. Just as I was about to contact my senior, she called me as if we were on the same wavelength. Celine, great fortune is coming. Our new game is about to be launched. And you brought your own popularity. I've already secretly spread the word that the game made by the Desperate Chaser is about to be launched. Surely many people who scold you for being all looks and no brains or feel sorry for you being dumped will check it out. It seems we can save a large sum of marketing expenses again. Hahaha. I barely held back the corners of my mouth that wanted to rise and hinted at her indirectly. Senior, I got this popularity by having my proposal rejected. I'm still sad. Can't you show a little sympathy? My senior snorted disdainfully. After a while, she reluctantly said, I'll transfer 1/3 of the saved marketing expenses to your card. I immediately cheered up. Thank you, Senior. After chatting for a while, my senior finally mentioned Phoenix. Do you really not like Phoenix at all? He was good-looking, had a great body, and took good care of people. Which woman wouldn't like him? I let out a long sigh. But he's tainted. He doesn't deserve me. My senior laughed heartily. It's good that you think that way. By the way, let the video ferment for a few more days. In a couple of days, the company will clarify things for you and also promote the launch of our game. After hanging up the phone, I received a message from Ethan on WeChat. The video was spread by the playboys who were there at the time. Do you want to clarify? I refused. Leave it alone. Let it ferment for 2 days. I want to promote our new game. 2 days later, my senior had someone reveal my position in the company and hinted at the upcoming launch of our game. Gossipy netizens swarmed into the company's account. Your company hired the desperate chaser. Proposing in public is just forcing someone to get married. When someone has no intention of getting married and you confess or propose in public, it's disgusting. No matter if it's a man or a woman. A desperate chaser has caused such a negative impact on your company. Are you sure you won't fire her? What's the point of launching a game? Fire the desperate chaser first. Being controversial also means being popular. And our company became a sensation. When my senior thought the time was right, she had someone release the group chat records of Phoenix's friends from back then. Phoenix, having fulfilled Wansai, who was being proposed to, knew my plan from start to finish. He didn't stop it and even gathered many people to watch up close as I made a fool of myself during the proposal. The public sentiment suddenly reversed. Netizens also dug up information showing the disparity in status between me and Phoenix. Most people tend to sympathize with the underdog. All of a sudden, there were fewer people scolding me. At the same time, the company reposted the video that Phoenix's friend had previously posted, showing Phoenix and Dawn's reunion after a long separation. The scene in the video was the same as the one during my proposal, and it was even on the same day. Netizens who felt they had been used as pawns turned their anger towards Phoenix and Dawn. They dug up Phoenix's and Dawn's accounts and launched a wave of abuse. Scumbag and slut frequently appeared in their comment sections. Phoenix and Dawn were completely ostracized on the internet and had to cancel their accounts. As for the game I was in charge of, curious netizens downloaded and tried it out. In this whole drama, I emerged victorious from start to finish. As for Dawn being ordered to go abroad to avoid the negative publicity, and Phoenix being pushed out of the position of heir by his eldest brother, who cares? The first 3 months in City S were very busy. When things got less hectic, I went to a lounge bar to relax. Isn't the song Fiber great? I really love Sandy Lamb's voice. The cute guy who struck up a conversation with me worked at the lounge bar. He had fair skin and a bright smile. He wasn't my type. In response to his approach, I made random gestures at him. The young guy was stunned on the spot. Are you mute? I smiled and nodded, and then he left, looking disappointed. I was happy to enjoy the piece and listen to the music for a while longer. But soon, without a low sigh, another person sat down. A glass of my favorite gin tonic was also placed in front of me. Just as I was about to make gestures to refuse, putting on an innocent look, a lazy chuckle came from the booth. I looked up and saw Ethan. He was leaning against the bar in a white shirt, with 2 or 3 buttons of his collar undone, smiling like a playboy. Have a drink if you're tired from gesturing. I fell silent. I picked up the glass of wine and took the initiative. Even though I broke up with Phoenix, I have no intention of being with you. Ethan clicked his tongue and criticized. What do you mean, being with? That sounds awful. What a hypocrite. When this jerk first met me, the first thing he said was, "Do you want to be with me?" Now he thinks it sounds bad? Ethan was a senior from my undergraduate university, 1 year ahead of me. He was quite a rascal. The first time we met was at the university swimming pool. At that time, as a non-swimmer, I took the opportunity to learn swimming when there were fewer people during the final exam period. Ethan was there too. I accidentally drowned. And he saved me. When I recovered and was about to thank him, he looked me up and down and suddenly asked, "Do you want to be with me?" While I was stunned, he patiently explained, "I'll give you money. Be my girlfriend." At that time, I hadn't started the studio with my senior yet, and I didn't value money as much. I scolded him. "In your dreams." And I kept scolding him every time I saw him until he went abroad. Due to our different social statuses, we lost touch. A few years later, after I started dating Phoenix, he took me to a gathering of his friends. I saw Ethan again at the dinner table. His character is not good. He tried to steal me away behind Phoenix's back He has a first love. Don't date him. Date me instead. In the narrow bathroom. The light fell on his face, which was extremely handsome even when he frowned. Time really can temper a person. Even a dog has learned to speak human words. But I don't like dogs. I refused him again, no way. I love him. After that, he didn't ask again. I also treated him like a stranger. When Phoenix said in the group that he would dump me if I brought up marriage, Ethan asked Phoenix abstractly in the group if he could be informed in advance if we broke up. He was even afraid that I couldn't break up with Phoenix. He made a PPT about the things that happened after Dawn came back from abroad and Phoenix got involved with her and sent it to me. Now that I've come to City S, he has also chased after me. He only has 2 days off a week. And he just hangs around me during those days. I raised my eyebrows and tilted my head to ask him, "Do you like me?" Ethan nodded. "What do you like about me?" Ethan's gaze shifted from my face to my chest and then to my legs. I was stunned. So shallow? Ethan was silent for a while. As if remembering something. He also laughed with a puff. "Okay. And when you can't swim? Your doggy paddle posture is very attractive." When I wanted to scold him, he said again, "And you're very beautiful. And you have a fatal physiological attraction to me. The first time I saw you, I knew I wanted to die in your arms." I rubbed the goose nest on my arms and summarized the main point. "Pervert. You want to sleep with me?" Ethan was silent. And then he nodded. The dim lights in the lounge bar were especially captivating. Looking at his tall and straight figure, handsome face, and the elegance in every move. This time, I didn't scold him. I nodded and asked him, "Then do you want to be with me?" Ethan was taken aback. Then, let out a low sigh. His face turned red. He nodded. And then he asked reservedly, "Shall we start tonight?" I took him back to my house in City S. That night, I treated him like a dog. He happily accepted everything one by one. I wiped the sweat from his forehead and enjoyed his service. When we were exhausted, he held me in his arms. He said hoarsely and contentedly, "I'm sure I can't live without you." I don't like Ethan that much. But he's really presentable. And his sense of service is better than Phoenix's. Although he still acts like a jerk occasionally. I'm magnanimous. I won't argue with him about it. A magnanimous woman always lets go of some insignificant things. For example, Dawn added me on WeChat and officially announced her relationship with Phoenix in the moments. Not to be outdone, Ethan pestered me to take a photo of us holding hands. He secretly posted it in the moments, my wishes come true after all these years. He even specifically tagged Phoenix in the comment section. When I saw it, I smiled. I wasn't angry. I just liked the way he schemes for me. Later, I reflected on whether I had fallen in love with him. At that time, the TV was playing Empresses in the Palace. I had an epiphany. I didn't love him. I just wanted to be an emperor. I enjoy the way others go to great lengths to please me. Especially Ethan's way. After staying in City S for a year, the branch company finally found a suitable person in charge. I was also able to return to City A. On the day I returned to City A, Ethan was on a business trip and on his way back. I dragged my suitcase alone and took a taxi to the largest shopping mall in the city. Today was Ethan's mother's birthday. Since I had already met his parents, I should prepare a gift for her. When I had chosen a congratulatory gift in the store and went out, I met Phoenix around the corner. He stared at me in a daze, his eyes burning. Phoenix looked left and right. When he realized there was no one beside me, he let out a sigh of relief and said, "You can't match Ethan's family background. Did he dump you so quickly?" I thought he was meddling and gave him a glare. "We've already broken up. It has nothing to do with you." I carried the gift and walked quickly. But he grabbed my wrist. Phoenix's eyes were pitch black, looking as if he was doing it for my own good. "I just don't want you to be hurt by him." I thought it was ridiculous. The only person who had hurt me was clearly him. Yet after we broke up, he said he was afraid that the people around me would hurt me. So what? I sneered. "Celine, let's get back together. Ethan doesn't intend to marry you either. Today is his mother's birthday. If he wanted to marry you, he would definitely take you to the family dinner. Obviously, heading till Philwise. He doesn't have the intention. Before Phoenix could finish his words, a deep male voice came from ahead. Phoenix. Do you have any morals at all? You're trying to steal your brother's girlfriend in public. I looked up. It was Ethan. He walked past Phoenix and came to my side. He picked up the gift box with one hand and put the other arm around my waist. Phoenix's eyes were gloomy. And he laughed out of anger. Who is actually trying to steal whose girlfriend? Ethan said lazily, you are. After saying that, he turned around with me in his arms and whispered to me, wife. There are a lot of dishes you like at the birthday banquet. Are you hungry? Let's go back quickly. I nodded and let him lead me forward. When we passed by Phoenix, Ethan's eyes were full of contempt. He mouthed the word loser silently at Phoenix, leaving Phoenix behind. He smiled and kissed my side face. He said meaningfully, wife, kiddingly, I'm not the kind of loser who doesn't know how to love someone and can't even make decisions about his own marriage. I couldn't stand his complacency. So I brought up his old words again. Do you want to be with me? Ethan's face froze completely. I have a really good memory. In the second year that Ethan was with me, I turned 30. My mother called me early one morning. Celine, when do you and Ethan plan to get married? Ethan currently has no intention of proposing to me. I replied to my mother, just like I did 2 years ago. My mother choked for a moment and tentatively asked, if not, why don't you find another boyfriend? Mom, can't I just not get married? I argued with my mother for half an hour and finally hung up the phone helplessly. Ethan hugged me pitifully. Mom wronged me. I did propose. I nodded and perfunctorily stroked his head. Ethan wouldn't let it go. He kissed my fingertips, moved up all the way, and buried his head in my neck. He looked at me, gave a suck, and rubbed against me desperately. Finally, heading fulfilled my sigh. When I couldn't stand it anymore, he dropped his pitiful act and forced me with despicable means. Will you marry me? Celine? Why aren't you speaking? After a long time, I leaned back against his chest with my eyes closed. I nodded slightly and said, okay. I'm not resistant to getting married, especially to a man like Ethan, who is talented, good-looking, and rich. A good marriage is an enhancement for a woman. Marrying Ethan, even if we don't make it to the end, I can ensure that I will gain more from it than I lose. There is no such thing as a completely right choice in the world. What I need to do is to strive hard to make the choice I made in the first place a right one. In the 5th year of our marriage, the mistress Jaden kept outside got pregnant. I asked the bodyguards to tie her up and take her to a private hospital. Before she entered the operating room, Jaden rushed over in a hurry and shielded the mistress behind him. He turned around and slapped me hard across the face. Ava, who gave you the guts to dare to hurt my child? He hit me so hard that I staggered a few steps, and half of my face went numb and ached. There was not the slightest bit of guilt for me in his eyes. All I could see was anger. Just anger. The corridor of the private hospital was empty. Lily hid behind Jaden, trembling, and sobbed, Jaden. She's a lunatic. She actually wanted to kill our child. Send her to a mental hospital right away. Jaden gave me a cold look, and his voice was bone-chilling. Adiva. I've already promised that the position of Mrs. Jaden will always be yours. After the child is born, I'll also hand him over to you to raise. In the future, he will only call you Mom. What on earth are you still dissatisfied with? Are you really so cruel that you won't even spare a child? When Lily heard that Jaden wanted to hand the child over to me for raising, her face turned deathly pale immediately. And I looked at the man I had loved for 10 years in front of me, only feeling a chill in my heart. Asking me to raise the child of him and his mistress. How could he humiliate me like this? My whole body was shaking. I slapped Jaden back and my voice was choked with sobs. Jaden, can't I give birth to a child if you want one? You asked me to raise the child of your mistress. Who is the cruel one between us? However, after saying these 2 sentences, I realized that I had asked a redundant question. Jaden thought I was dirty and he wouldn't even touch me. How could I possibly give birth to a child? An overwhelming sense of despair washed over me. My legs were shaking so much that I could hardly stand steadily. I leaned against the wall feebly, and tears couldn't stop streaming down. I sobbed and accused, Jadon. Just because I love you, you can't ramble on me so recklessly? There was finally a trace of change on Jaden's red and face from the slap. There was a hint of can't bear to in the look he gave me. However, he didn't come forward to comfort me immediately. Instead, he first asked his special assistant to take Lily away, and then told the special assistant to make sure the child in her belly was safe. After arranging Lily, Jaden's attention returned to me. He raised his hand to wipe the tears from the corners of my eyes, and then gently stroked my swollen and red cheek. Sorry. Afwa. I shouldn't have hit you out of desperation. Stop crying. If you really can't tolerate that child, after he's born, let Lily raise him herself. I'll let them live far away from here so that they won't get on your nerves. He really knew how to stab me in the heart. My heart seemed to be pierced, and the pain made it hard for me to breathe. I kicked him and punched him while crying, shouting hoarsely, Jadon. You make me feel sick. Why do you bully me like this? Why? Facing my persistence, his patience finally ran out. With a dark face, he held my legs and wrists firmly and said coldly, Ava. Stop going crazy. Before you married me, I told you that I didn't love you anymore. You chose this path yourself. You have no right to make a scene with me. Do you understand? Yes. He didn't love me anymore. I already knew that clearly. I met Jadon when I was 7 years old. That year, my parents got divorced, and neither of them wanted to raise me. So they left me in the amusement park. If it weren't for Jadon, who was 9 years old at that time, picking me up and taking me back to the Jadon family, I would probably have been abducted by human traffickers long ago. We grew up together as childhood sweethearts. From getting to know each other, accompanying each other, understanding each other to falling in love, everything went extremely smoothly. I once thought that we would buy a plane and happy life together until the end. However, when I was 20 years old, something happened to the Jadon family's business, and it was on the verge of bankruptcy. Jaden's father suddenly died of a heart attack. Jaden's mother was so heartbroken that she fell seriously ill, and Jadon was burned and with a huge debt. The debt collectors tied him to the top of a 37-story building, and said that if he didn't pay back the money, they would throw him down. I wanted to save him, but it was a debt of 100 million yuan. Where could I get so much money? I had no choice but to go to Ryan, the second young master of the Ryan family, who was Jaden's sworn enemy. As long as I agreed to accompany Ryan for a month, he would make up the 100 million yuan debt for the Jadon family. I didn't want to, but I was really desperate. I couldn't just watch Jadon die. I wanted him to live well. However, when I saw Jadon again a month later, he said to me with red eyes, Ava, I'd rather die than have you save me. There was so much pain in his eyes, and his voice was full of sadness and despair. Ava, as a man, I had you sacrifice your innocence to save me. How can I face you? He cried so sadly that I reached out to hug him. But as soon as I got close, Jadon suddenly stepped back. Don't touch me. I stood there in a daze, looking at him in disbelief. He closed his eyes in pain and said in a trembling voice, Sorry. Ava. Let's break up. I can't love you anymore. Since then, the relationship between us has been beyond repair. The only fortunate thing is that Jadon was very ambitious. He managed to bring the Jadon family back to life in just 3 years. In the same year, Jaden's mother was seriously ill. She had always loved me the most. She was afraid that if she passed away one day, I would have no one to rely on. So she asked Jadon to marry me and repeatedly told him that he must protect me for the rest of his life. Otherwise she wouldn't be able to rest in peace. Jadon agreed. But on our wedding night, he refused to sleep with me. He said, Ava, you gave me your first time and sacrificed so much for the Jadon family. I owe you. So I must take responsibility for you. But I'm sorry. I don't love you anymore and I can't do those intimate things with you. But I can promise that you will be the only woman in my life. I won't cheat. And I won't do anything to betray you. Over the past 5 years, I have been brainwashing myself constantly. It doesn't matter that he doesn't love me. As long as I can see him every day, It's fine. It would be nice to spend our whole lives treating each other with respect like guests. But he lied to me. 2 months ago. When I found out about Lily's existence. She had been with Jaden for nearly a year. And she was even pregnant. That day. I knelt in front of Jaden's mother's tombstone and cried my heart out. Mom. Jaden lied to me. He lied to me. If Jaden's mother were still alive, she would never have allowed Jaden to bully me like this. But she was gone. And there was no one to protect me anymore. I cried until I fainted in the cemetery. And when I woke up, I had been taken home by Jaden. There was exhaustion between his eyebrows and eyes. And he said in a low voice, I'm sorry about Lily's matter. But I really like her. She's very innocent and cute. And I feel very relaxed when I'm with her. But don't worry. Since I promised Mom that I would protect you for the rest of my life, I won't break my promise. I'll keep Lily outside. She will never be able to shake your position as Mrs. Jaden. As for that child, I don't want him to be a bastard. The Jaden family needs a legitimate heir. So after he's born, I'll hand him over to you to raise. In the future, the property of the Jaden family will belong to you and your son. I could hardly believe my ears. How could he say such cruel words? Why does he think I would accept a man who betrayed me? Why does he think I'm willing to be the mother of Lily's child? My heart ached so much that my tears almost soaked the pillow towel. I choked and said, Jaden. You know very well that what I care about has never been the position of Mrs. Jaden. Let alone the property of the Jaden family. His voice was hoarse. Sorry. This is all I can give you. I can accept that he doesn't love me. But I can't accept that he gives his love to someone else. I can't even accept that he has a child with someone else. So, there was this farce in the hospital today. It was probably on that day that I finally made up my mind to leave Jaden, and I started a cold war. Lily was settled by him in a villa in the western suburbs. That night, a strange number suddenly sent me messages and pictures. Jaden said he won't let me be separated from the child. Abba. Stop dreaming of snatching the child from me. I had a cramp in my leg in the middle of the night yesterday. And Jaden was so sweet to massage my calf for me. Jaden made dinner for me. It was super delicious. I'm taking a picture to show you. What a pity you don't have the luck to taste it. Jaden said that after our son is born, we'll have a daughter. Are you envious? Even if you're Mrs. Jaden. So what? Jaden doesn't love you. He only loves me. I knew it was Lily. So I blocked her directly. But those words and pictures were still like poisoned arrows, stabbing my heart again and making it full of holes and an excruciating pain. I couldn't fall asleep anymore. I took a taxi to a nearby bar, planning to have a few drinks to relieve my distress. And that's where I met Ryan again. I had drunk a bit too much and almost got taken advantage of. Ryan didn't choose violence. He just put his arm around my shoulder, led me aside, and then asked the bodyguards to break the finger of the man who touched my waist. Hearing the man's painful screams, I suddenly woke up. Most of the alcohol wore off, and I quickly pushed away Ryan's hand on my shoulder and took a step to the side. Ryan raised his eyebrows and looked at me. Are you afraid of me? He shook his head with a self-deprecating smile. Adiva. You really know how to break my heart. Although Jaden insisted on paying back the 100 million yuan to me after he became successful. When I gave you the money, I never thought of getting it back. It's 100 million yuan. You just shed a few tears. And I didn't have the heart to touch you. What are you afraid of me for? Yes. In fact, nothing happened between Ryan and me during that month. Because on the first day, when he pressed me down and kissed me, I cried. He turned over and got up, lit a cigarette in frustration. After a while, he clicked his tongue. Ava. Are you blind? Can't you see that I'm more handsome than that brat Jaden? Do you have to be so aggrieved? I cried nonstop wrapped in the quilt. Sorry. I only like Jaden. Wian was so angry. He's a good-for-nothing who still needs you to save him. What's so worthy of your liking? I sobbed and retorted, Jaden is not a good-for-nothing. I did it voluntarily. It's not his fault. Ryan laughed out of anger and gritted his teeth. I really don't believe I can't steal this woman away. Ada, edakul. In a month. I'll make you take the initiative to beg me to have you. He wanted me to take the initiative. So during that month, we went in and out together. But he never touched me. But, although nothing happened between Ryan and me, in the eyes of others, we were not innocent. He was well known for having affairs with many women. No one believed that he would just chat with a woman under the quilt. Jadon didn't believe it either. I told him that Ryan and I were innocent. But Jadon thought I was lying to him. He thought it was a lie I made up on purpose to save our relationship. I couldn't defend myself no matter how hard I tried. Remembering the past, my head started to ache again. And I grabbed my handbag and left the bar. Perhaps worried that something else might happen to me. Ryan kept following behind me. When crossing the road, I didn't see the traffic lights clearly. If Ryan hadn't promptly put his arm around my waist and carried me to the side of the road, I'm afraid I would have ended up in the hospital. Miss, are you trying to scare me to death? Ryan exclaimed in surprise. I only realized how scared I was afterward. And a layer of cold sweat broke out on my palms. At the same time, a voice filled with anger came from behind. Ava. I turned around at the sound and saw Jadon with a gloomy face and cold eyes. He strode over, roughly pulled Ryan's arm away, grabbed my wrist, and pulled me to his side. He accused me in a cold voice, pulling and tugging with a strange man on the street. Have you forgotten that you're Mrs. Jadon? Ryan suddenly sneered. Jadon. You've even had an illegitimate child. Where do you get the nerve to accuse Ava? Jadon's eyes flickered slightly. But he sneered and said, no matter what I do outside, it can't change the fact that Ava is my wife. Ryan Iwadado will say. It's none of your business as an outsider to interfere in the matters between me and my wife. You're the president of the prestigious Ryan family. Don't tell me you want to be a male mistress? Ryan raised his eyebrows and chuckled inferiorly. I'm willing to be the third party for love. Do you have a problem with that? Jadon's eyes looking at Ryan were filled with hostility. He gave a cold snort. What's the use of your willingness? I advise you to give up this thought as soon as possible. The only person Ava has ever loved from beginning to end is me. Look. He clearly knew that I loved him without reservation. Yet he still hurt me heartlessly. He clearly didn't love me anymore. But he still had a strong possessive desire for me, and used my love for him as a weapon to attack Ryan. I suddenly felt like crying. But also thought it was ridiculous. So I laughed while tears streamed down my face. I laughed loudly. And the tears kept falling more and more profusely. I looked as if I had gone crazy. The expressions of the two men in front of me both changed. But they didn't dare to make a sound to stop me. After a while, I stopped laughing and looked at Jadon with red eyes and despair. He was also looking down at me. And his dark eyes reflected my pale face. My voice was trembling terribly. Jadon. I'm 28 years old this year. From the time I started dating you at 18 until now. It's been a full 10 years. It took me a full 10 years to realize that all those vows of growing old together and lasting forever were all false. As if realizing what I was going to say next. A trace of panic flashed in Jadon's eyes. And his fingers gripping my wrist bone suddenly tightened. I took a deep breath, desperately suppressing the pain in my heart, and said slowly and resolutely, Jadon. I don't want you anymore. Let's get a divorce. As soon as the words fell, Jadon shuddered all over and looked at me in disbelief, asking in confusion, what did you say? I knew he had heard me clearly, so I didn't repeat it a second time, nor did I look at his obscure and hard-to-read eyes again. I just dejectedly pulled back the wrist he was holding, turned around, walked to the side of the road, and waved to hail a taxi. Ryan, who had been silent just now, caught up. Ava. It's getting late. And you've been drinking. For the sake of safety, let me drive you home. Before I could refuse, Jadon, who had recovered from his shock, had already strode forward and punched Ryan, seducing my wife right in front of me. Do you think I'm dead? Ryan punched back and sneered disdainfully. You'll be the ex-husband soon. Won't you? Jadon's face darkened terribly. Do you want to die? After arguing for a few words, the two of them started fighting. I was physically and mentally exhausted at this moment, and had no energy to pay attention to them. After hailing a taxi, I got in and left. As soon as I got home, I started packing my clothes without delay. Just as I filled one suitcase, Jaden came back. There were several abrasions on his right face, which should be the marks left from the fight with Ryan just now. I didn't know what had gotten into him all of a sudden. And then I heard him say sternly, "Where are you going with your luggage? To find Ryan?" I hadn't had any contact with Ryan in recent years, but I didn't plan to explain it to Jaden anymore. After all, we were going to get a divorce soon. What did it matter to him where I went? So I said, "I can go wherever I want. It's none of your business." This sentence touched his sore spot again. He angrily pressed me against the wall and almost ferociously questioned me. "You want to divorce me because of Ryan, right? Because he said he still loves you. So you're tempted? Or have you two been having an affair for a long time? How long have you been together this time? You missed that month you spent with Ryan 8 years ago. Don't you? Ava, you keep saying you love me, but you're fooling around with your old lover behind my back. Are you so desperate and can't stand being alone?" He actually had the nerve to shift the blame and push the reason for the divorce onto me. And he even humiliated me with such disgusting words. I was so angry, and I was shaking all over. I kicked him with all my strength. But Jaden endured the pain and didn't move an inch. Ryan was right. You, who had an affair during the marriage and had an illegitimate child. Where do you get the nerve to accuse me? The name Ryan seemed to be Jaden's Achilles heel. Fury blazed in his eyes as if he wanted to burn me to ashes. He sneered and said, "You listen to Ryan so much? Have you fallen for him? You want to divorce me and then marry him, right? Ava, it was you who insisted on marrying me in the first place. You were born into the Jaden family in this life. And even when you die, you'll be a ghost of the Jaden family. You want to betray me and live with Ryan? Stop dreaming. I won't let you have your way." I thought he might be crazy. He clearly didn't love me anymore. But because of his ridiculous and paranoid possessive desire, he refused to let me go. I had already wasted 10 years on him. Did he want to keep me trapped in this cage for the rest of my life? I couldn't bear it anymore and pushed him away. "Jaden, are you out of your mind? We'll get a divorce tomorrow. And you can marry Lily the day after tomorrow. Your son won't have to be an illegitimate child anymore. Isn't that a happy ending for everyone?" But he didn't listen to me at all and stubbornly locked the topic on Ryan. "You can't wait to be with Ryan. Can you?" He was just being unreasonable. I suddenly felt extremely tired and didn't want to say another word to him. I turned around in silence, opened the wardrobe, and continued packing my clothes. But this silent response, in Jaden's eyes, seemed like an admission. He grabbed my shoulders, turned my body around, and stared at me intently. There was a hint of pathological madness in the depths of his eyes. His voice was extremely cold. "Ava, you'd better be aware that I will never let you be with Ryan. I won't give you a second chance to betray me. You can only love me in this life. Do you understand?" I didn't understand. I really didn't understand how he could be so shameless. He didn't love me. Yet he demanded that I always love him. He wanted my love. But he never allowed me to get close to him. He could sleep with other women and have children. But he demanded that I be faithful to him. Why? All kinds of emotions such as grief, anger, and sadness welled up in my heart and rushed to my head. I struggled to break free from his restraint and said with a determination to fight it out, "Jaden, you have no right to ask me to love you. Don't think that just by saying a few harsh words, I'll let you manipulate me. I'm all alone and have nothing. There's nothing for me to lose. What can you use to threaten me to stay? You don't even have anything to hold over me. Do you think I'm afraid of you? I'm definitely getting a divorce. In the future, whether I marry and have children with Ryan or any other man, you have no right to interfere. Do you understand?" Seeing my determination, a trace of panic and helplessness actually appeared in Jaden's eyes. As if he was really afraid of losing me. It was so absurd and ridiculous. The man who had disliked me for 8 years, and had a mistress for a year was actually afraid of losing me. But no matter what he thought in his heart, it had nothing to do with me anymore. I was too tired and didn't want to be entangled with him anymore. The driver took me to the large flat on Tonham Road. That was the property given to me by Jaden's mother before she passed away. I didn't sleep soundly that night and kept having dreams. I dreamed that when I was 7 years old, I was very afraid of the dark. Jadon specially bought a night light for me and even sang nursery rhymes to lull me to sleep. I was afraid of thunder. Every time I heard the thunder, I would tremble and hide under the table or in the closet. Every time, Jadon was the first to find me. He would hug me and tell me in his clear and innocent child's voice, and I'd pass obedience. Don't be afraid. Your brother will protect you. I dreamed of myself at the age of 14. I had a poor appetite for a while. And Jadon gently and patiently fed me spoonful after spoonful of food. It was also that year that I was almost bullied by the perverted piano teacher of my private lessons. When Jadon found out, he beat the bastard like crazy. The man had 2 ribs broken and 1 leg injured by him and stayed in the hospital for a full half-month before his condition improved. I also dreamed of when I was 18. On the day I finished my college entrance examination, Jadon confessed his love to me with a bouquet of bright roses. He was really nervous and stuttered his words, "Ava, I like you so much. Can I be your girlfriend?" I couldn't help laughing. "You have no chance to be my girlfriend, but you can be my boyfriend." He smiled with his eyes crinkled and leaned in to hug me. His embrace was really warm. The last scene was 7 years ago. In order to revive the Jadon family, Jadon worked day and night and almost lived in the company. On the winter solstice, I specially made his favorite dumplings stuffed with 3 delicacies and shrimps and asked the driver to send them to the company. Knowing that he was busy, I didn't dare to disturb him. I just wanted to hide in the dark and take a few peeks at him. Unexpectedly, I saw him staring at the box of dumplings for a long time with a dark look in his eyes. And then he directly threw them into the trash can. The assistant said in confusion, "President Jadon, Ava made these specially for you. It's such a waste to throw them away like this." Jadon wiped his fingers with a tissue without even raising his eyes, and said in a cold voice, "Dirty things should be thrown away. There's nothing to be sorry about." At that moment, my heart ached as if it were being torn apart. I knew very well that he didn't think the dumplings were dirty. He thought I was dirty. He didn't believe that I was innocent with Ryan. In fact, if I had been smart and decisive enough, I should have left him then. I was so stupid and stubborn that I was influenced by the friendship of my youth and wasted another 7 years on him. Only now do I regret it. I slept in a coma for a full 3 days before I finally woke up completely. There was nothing else in my mind except the thought of getting a divorce. I picked up my phone and sent a message to Jadon, asked the lawyer to draw up the divorce agreement as soon as possible. I don't want to delay any longer. I was so stupid to have trapped myself in this relationship for so long. It was time to get out of it completely. I packed up briefly and went to the private restaurant where I often dined. The proprietors greeted me with a smile. Ava, you haven't been here for ages." Some time ago, I was so worried about Lily's matter that I had no mood to enjoy any delicious food. The proprietors was very familiar with me. Without my saying, she knew which dishes I would order. Surprisingly, not long after the dishes were served, Ryan actually showed up in the restaurant. I was a bit taken aback, but he looked as usual. He sat down opposite me, looked at the dishes on the table, and chuckled. "You've been eating these dishes for 5 years. Don't you get tired of them?" I was even more surprised. "How do you know that?" He raised his eyebrows but didn't say anything. And I didn't ask further. My gaze fell on the blue and purple mark on the corner of his lip, and I said apologetically, "Sorry. You got beaten up by Jadon because of me." Ryan retorted, "That bastard Jadon was much more seriously injured than me. It's more like I beat him up. As expected of sworn enemies. They even have to compete over this." Remembering that he had helped me in the bar a few days ago, I felt it necessary to express my gratitude. So I asked, "Do you want to have lunch together?" "It's on me." The corner of his lip curved slightly. "Sure. After 8 years. Having a meal at the same table with him again. I actually had a feeling of being in a different world. He was still as humorous and witty as ever. It's just that during that month 8 years ago, I was in a heavy mood. No matter how he tried to amuse me, I couldn't manage a smile. I vaguely remembered that on the last day, he sat on the carpet in frustration and said solemnly, "I just don't understand. In what way am I not as good as Jadon? Why do you look down on me so much? I replied listlessly. You're good in every way. But you're not Jadon. He smiled bitterly. Although I look down on Jadon, I have to admit that I'm really envious of him. Did he accumulate blessings for several lifetimes, to meet a silly girl like you who loves him without expecting anything in return? Looking back now, I also think I was really stupid. I foolishly gave everything for Jadon. But in the end, I ended up being betrayed. Thinking of this, I suddenly felt that I didn't deserve it and considered asking for more real estate and stocks in the divorce. Those things were what I deserved. If I didn't fight for them, wouldn't I be letting Lily take advantage? While I was lost in these thoughts, there were already several peeled shrimps on the bone plate in front of me. Ryan reminded me. Ava, don't be distracted at the dining table. Eat more. Look how thin you are. I'm afraid the wind will break your waist. I was amused by his tone. It's not as exaggerated as you said, is it? He picked up a piece of braised pork for me again. It's good that you're smiling. You look beautiful when you smile. Don't look so gloomy all day long. It seemed that since I was 20 years old, I had rarely smiled. Fortunately, having fulfilled me, Ryan was especially good at making people happy. During this meal, I smiled for a longer time than the total of this month. In the middle of the meal, I went to the restroom. Just after washing my hands, the proprietors pulled me mysteriously into an empty private room. I was puzzled. Bonnie, what's going on? She said with a smile. Actually, I'm no longer the boss. 3 years ago, my restaurant was on the verge of closing down due to serious losses. Later, it was only because of Ryan's capital injection that it could survive. So now he's my boss, and I'm just an employee. I was astonished. He's a real estate tycoon. Why is he interested in the catering industry? He has no interest in the catering industry at all. He invested in my restaurant just because you like to eat here. Bonnie, don't make fun of me. He has so many girlfriends. How could he still be thinking about me? But Bonnie said, I don't know what Ryan is like with other women, but I can confirm that he's definitely sincere towards you. To be honest, this restaurant has a niche customer base. Even now, it loses 7 figures a year. But just because you like it and you come to eat here almost every week, Ryan is willing to keep the restaurant open even at a loss. He asked me to keep it a secret these years. So I've never told you. But I heard someone say the other day that Jadon has an illegitimate child outside. Why don't you dump that scumbag right away? Ava, listen to me. Instead of wasting your life on a scumbag, it's better to pay more attention to the people who treat you well. I didn't ask Ryan about the restaurant. Because although Bonnie said that Ryan bought this private restaurant for me, I didn't dare to believe it. Although I haven't had any contact with him all these years, I occasionally heard news about him. There were always beautiful women coming and going around him, and it never seemed to stop. I don't think I'm anything special enough for him to keep thinking about me. Even 8 years ago, when he wanted to have me, I didn't think it was because he loved me. I knew I didn't have that much charm to make him willingly offer up 100 million yuan. He probably just wanted to steal me away from Jadon. After all, the two of them had been sworn enemies since they were kids and had to compete over everything. After finishing the meal and leaving the restaurant, Ryan suddenly asked me to wait for him. I looked at him in confusion as he walked into the 24-hour convenience store at the intersection. 3 minutes later, he handed me a strawberry-flavored lollipop. I took it with a smile. Thank you. When I was a child, my parents didn't like me, and only my grandmother doted on me. Every time I was unhappy, my grandmother would magically take out a strawberry-flavored lollipop for me. My grandmother passed away when I was 6 years old, and for a whole year after that, no one bought me a lollipop anymore. Ryan recalled. When you were 7 years old in the amusement park, Jadon bricked you into going home with a strawberry-flavored lollipop. I looked up in surprise. You still remember that? The smile on the corner of his lip was a bit bitter. Of course. After all, I was the one who walked towards you first that day. But you took Jadon's hand. Over the years, I've thought about it many times. If I had given you a strawberry-flavored lollipop instead of an ice cream at that time, would you have chosen me? I thought about it, and said truthfully. I don't know. He stared at me intently with burning eyes. Eva. This time. Will you choose me? I didn't react for a moment. What? There was expectation and unease hidden in his deep eyes. You're going to get a divorce soon. Aren't you? This time. Can you take my hand? From now on. As long as it's something you want and something I have. I can give it all to you. The sudden confession caught me off guard. And I asked in a daze. Huh? You can't really be in love with me. Right. He was stunned for a few seconds before pulling the corner of his lip self-deprecating lie. If I didn't love you, why would I give you 100 million yuan? Do I have too much money to burn? If I didn't love you, would I feel sorry for your tears and not even dare to touch you? If I didn't love you, would I try so hard to coax you just to make you smile at me? Adiva, don't tell me you've never believed in my feelings for you. I fell silent. After a while, I said awkwardly, you have so many girlfriends. One day it's an actress. And the next day it's a little model. It's hard for anyone to believe that you're sincere towards anyone. Right? Hearing this, he immediately protested. That's not true. Those are all rumors. Sometimes at social events, those little stars have a few drinks with me. And then they use my status as a backing when they go out, which can save them from a lot of unspoken rules. I'm really too lazy to pay attention to them. And I don't have the energy to clarify things one by one. If I had known you would take it seriously, I would definitely have engraved the words Ryan is innocent on my forehead. I was skeptical. He was anxious to prove himself. Ava, you have to believe me. I haven't touched any of those women. If I'm lying, I'll go bald next year. I was amused by his eagerness to prove himself. Actually, it wasn't that I didn't believe him. Otherwise, he could have done whatever he wanted to me 8 years ago. Why would he give me a chance to choose? But I still didn't respond to his confession. After all, my marriage relationship with Jaden hadn't been dissolved yet, and I didn't want to lose my moral bottom line like Jaden. Ryan said, I didn't really expect you to accept me immediately. I just wanted to tell you how I feel. There's still a long way to go in the future. I've been waiting for you for 10 years. What's a few more years? My heart suddenly skipped a beat. It's hard to imagine that during the 10 years when I was in love with Jaden, there was actually someone who had been waiting for me silently. We walked along the roadside and chatted. The high heels I was wearing didn't fit well, and I accidentally tripped over a stone and sprained my ankle. Ryan helped me sit down on a bench. Seeing that my ankle was a bit red, he frowned and said, use it here first. I'll go and buy a bottle of spray for treating bruises and sprains. After saying that, he got up in a hurry and left. After about 15 minutes, when he came back, he not only brought the spray but also a pair of light coffee-colored ballet flats. He had a good taste. The shoes he chose were quite nice and matched the color scheme of my dress today very well. He knelt down in front of me and wanted to spray the medicine for me. I dodged a bit. It's okay. I can do it myself. His fingers paused for a moment before he said, all right. After you spray the medicine, gently rub it with your fingers. Okay. Thank you. It's just a small favor. Don't be so polite. But you'd better not wear such high stilettos too often in the future. You don't understand the pain of us short people. You're 1.60 meters tall. That's not short, is it? As I rubbed my ankle, I complained. When I first met you when I was a kid, you were even a bit shorter than me. Now I only reach your shoulder. He couldn't help laughing. Fortunately, hadn't fulfilled me. I'm decent in terms of height and appearance now. Otherwise, I'd be too embarrassed to chase you. After all, you're so beautiful. He was being too modest. With his looks and temperament, there were hardly a few people like him even in the entire entertainment industry. We sat side by side on the bench and chatted for a long time. From the interesting things during our school days to how his parents forced him to go on blind dates. Before we knew it, it was already evening. His gaze fell on my ankle. Does it still hurt? I stood up and walked back and forth a few times. It's okay now. He curved his lips. That's good. He lowered his eyes to look at his watch and then asked, are you hungry? What do you want to eat for dinner? Steak? It's up to you. I'm fine with anything. Then steak. I really feel like eating meat today. The steak in that Western restaurant tasted extremely good, and I was very satisfied after eating it. I just didn't expect that we would run into Jadon in the parking lot, as if fate had it that enemies would always cross paths. As soon as Jadon saw me with Ryan, he started going crazy again. He stepped forward and grabbed my arm, trying to pull me away. I struggled desperately. Jadon, are you out of your mind? Let go of me. He sneered. Let go of you, so that you can continue flirting with Ryan? Ava. We're not divorced yet. Are you so eager to get together with him? She asked you to let go. Didn't you hear? Ryan's voice was filled with a hint of gloom. Jadon glanced at him coldly and sneered. What right do you have to tell me to let go? Are you addicted to being a male mistress? Ryan didn't mind being ridiculed. He just said in a deep voice. You're hurting Ava. Let go. Seeing that Jadon had no intention of letting go, Ryan directly punched him. Jadon was caught off guard and staggered back to steps, having to release me. After coming to his senses, he immediately tried to fight back, but I quickly stepped in front of Ryan. Jadon's fist stopped in my jaw, and he stared at me in disbelief. You are protecting him? You're actually protecting him? His voice trembled slightly, as if he was very aggrieved. And he asked, Ava, how could you protect him? What right did he have to feel aggrieved? I laughed mockingly. Didn't you also protect Lily in the hospital? You even slapped me because of her. Jadon's face immediately turned a little paler, and he said in a trembling voice. I was in a hurry at that time. I didn't mean to hit you. And Ryan behind me. His eyes suddenly turned fierce. His voice was very soft, but it made people shudder. You hit her? He took 2 steps forward and suddenly kicked Jadon to the ground. Jadon, are you even a man? He kicked Jadon several times like a madman. Ava almost gave her life for you. Yet you actually hit her? You already had her. Why didn't you cherish her? Jadon coughed continuously from being kicked. He propped himself up on the ground and got up, grabbing Ryan's collar angrily. The reason why Ava and I are like this today is all because of you. If you hadn't taken advantage of the situation and made Ava stay with you for a month, how could we have ended up like this? Ryan angrily shook off Jadon's hand. I finally understand what it means to be a cheapskate and still play innocent. I didn't even touch Ava. I sent her back to you. You got both the person and the money. Where do you get the nerve to shout here? Jadon didn't believe it. Nothing happened when you two lived together for a month? Ryan, do you believe what you're saying? Ryan stared at him coldly. I really did dream of having Ava, but I want her to be with me willingly. 8 years ago. If she had liked me even a little bit, or if I had really touched her, I would never have sent her back to you even if I died. But she said she only loved you. During that month, she didn't even smile at me once. Jadon, Ava gave you her whole heart. How could you have the heart to hurt her like this? You're even worse than a beast and don't deserve to be my opponent at all. Even though Ryan scolded him like this, Jadon didn't retort. He just stared blankly at me. Obviously, having thought why I'm sorry. He believed Ryan's words. His eyes gradually turned red, and he said blankly, Ava, it turns out that you didn't lie to me. I smiled bitterly. It doesn't matter anymore. Jadon, I don't need you to believe me now. Now I just want a divorce. I didn't even want to look at him anymore. I turned around, walked to Ryan's car, opened the passenger door, and got in. After the car drove past 2 streets, Ryan controlled the steering wheel with his left hand and took out a tissue with his right hand and handed it to me. Don't cry. He's not worth your tears. I sniffed and shook my head. I'm not crying for him. I'm crying because I'm so stupid. You must think it's ridiculous too. Before today, Jadon didn't believe that there was nothing between you and me. Over the years, to maintain the reputation of the Jadon family, he and I pretended to be a loving couple in public, so the outside world thought our relationship was very good. However, the truth is that as soon as we got home, he started giving me the cold shoulder. Because he thought I was dirty. He said he couldn't love me anymore. He even threw the dumplings I made for him directly into the trash can. The problems between Hen and me actually became so serious that they were beyond redemption even before Lily appeared. I really regret not leaving him earlier. I was so stupid to stay with him for 8 years. Ryan listened to me in silence. Suddenly, he turned the steering wheel to the left and turned the car around. His face was more gloomy than ever. His jawline was tightly clenched, and his back teeth almost seemed to be gritted. The fingers holding the steering wheel were strained, and the veins on the back of his hand bulged. I guessed that he was going back to teach Jaden a lesson and avenge me. But his emotions were obviously unstable now. If they really fought, they might end up in the hospital. I quickly stopped him. Forget it. Ryan. I don't want to see Jaden now. Don't go back. He turned to look at me. In his brown pupils, besides anger, there was only pity for me. Okay. I'll listen to you. He parked the car on the side of the road, took out a cigarette pack, and asked in a hoarse voice. I want to smoke a cigarette. Do you mind? It's okay. Go ahead. Okay. He knocked out a cigarette and put it between his lips. But the lighter failed to light it several times. Finally, he threw the cigarette into the car ashtray in frustration. He held his forehead for a long time before finally suppressing his anger. His voice was difficult. I'm sorry. Ava. I was too selfish at the beginning. I wanted to have you so much that I made a deal with you for that 100 million. Actually, I didn't plan to let you go back at first. Even if you didn't love me, I was going to keep you by my side forever. But as soon as you cried, I couldn't do anything to you. Seeing you cry made me feel worse than being stabbed. So I changed my strategy and tried to make you like me in a month. But I still lost. I really didn't want to send you back to the Jaden family. But I thought that as long as you could be happy, even if I could only watch you from afar in this life, I would accept it. His voice paused. He clenched his fist and hit the steering wheel, and said resentfully, if I had known that Jaden was such a jerk, even if you hated me for the rest of your life, I would never have sent you back to him. How could the silly girl I want to cherish and dote on be bullied by him like this? I knew very well that it was not Ryan's place to say sorry. If he hadn't stepped in to help, the Jaden family would have been ruined long ago. And maybe I would have been thrown off a high-rise building by those creditors. How could I blame him? Ryan. Don't apologize to me. I can't bear it. After all, it's me who has been causing you trouble from beginning to end. The reason why Jaden and I have come to this is that he didn't trust me. And I loved the wrong person. You didn't do anything wrong. He looked at me deeply. I've never thought that you were causing me trouble. No matter what I do for you, I do it willingly. Willingly. My heart moved. I slightly curved the corners of my lips. Ryan. You're a good person. I've always known that. Seeing a trace of a smile on my face, his mood finally improved. And he even had the mood to joke. Are you giving me the good guy card again? No, yup. I'm seriously complimenting you. Okay then. You can consider complimenting me a few more times. I like hearing it. Aren't you always being praised wherever you go? Aren't you tired of hearing it? How can those people compare with you? 10,000 compliments from them are not worth one from you. Okay then. I'll write an 800-word essay later to praise you properly. He raised his eyebrows. I'm taking it seriously. Don't deceive me. I smiled. I definitely won't deceive you. While chatting, the car soon arrived outside the community. Before getting out of the car, he told me, go back and have a good rest. If you have anything, call me at any time. My phone is on 24 hours a day. I nodded. Okay. Thank you for today. In the early hours of the morning, when I was about to rest, the door suddenly knocked from the outside. Then Jaden's drunken voice sounded. Ava. Let's talk. Okay? I didn't plan to open the door at first. But he kept knocking. And I couldn't rest because of the noise. I helplessly opened the door and said impatiently. You'd better be here to talk about the divorce. Taking advantage of his drunkenness, he directly hugged me. Ava. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you all these years. It's my fault. Don't be with Ryan. Okay? I'm really going crazy when I see you getting close to him. Don't torture me. Okay? Who is torturing him exactly? Is he the pot calling the kettle black? I pushed him away forcefully and sneered. You don't think I'm dirty now and want to beg for my forgiveness, right? His body suddenly froze. And his black eyes were filled with deep guilt. After struggling for a moment, he said with difficulty to explain. I didn't despise you. I've always despised myself. The day I took you back to the Jadon family, I promised to protect you forever. But I didn't keep my promise. I hate my own incompetence. I actually had to rely on you selling yourself to save me. Ava. It's not that I don't love you anymore. I'm afraid to love you. I don't even have the face to face you. As soon as I get close to you, I'll think of that useless and good-for-nothing self. After listening to his words in silence, I probably sorted out his thoughts. The Jadon family is also a wealthy family. He was born with a halo. Coupled with his outstanding appearance and excellent ability, he has always been the best among his peers. Whether it's relatives and friends, or teachers and classmates, everyone speaks highly of him when they mention him. He has long been used to being superior and being praised and looked up to by everyone. Once he fell into the mire. He had to rely on me to beg his archenemy to help him. He couldn't accept such a gap. Even though he later returned to a high position, my existence still reminded him of that unbearable past. So, he couldn't face me. I looked at him with a sarcastic look in my eyes. What's the point of you explaining all this to me now? He urgently held my hand and replied with red eyes. It matters. Of course it matters. You thought I didn't love you anymore, right? Now I'm telling you that the person I love has always been you. We can start over. I had to remind him. Jadon. Have you forgotten that you still have Lily? He panicked and defended himself. I've never loved her. I just thought. She was very much like you. Like you when you were 18. I felt speechless. Don't insult me like this. I'm not like Lily. I won't interfere in someone else's marriage. And I won't show off in front of the original partner. He was at a loss for words because of my sarcasm. After a long while, he said in a difficult voice. The first time I met Lily was at an auction. I heard a story about redemption. The president of the Jadon family, who was a powerful figure in the business world, met a young girl at an auction a year ago. The girl had to sell her body to save her father suffering from uremia. When he saw her, it was as if he saw me back then. The difference was that this time, he could easily save Lily. He bought her and pampered her well. Not because of love, but more like making up for his past incompetence. He wanted to regain the self-esteem that had been trampled into the dirt from her. I just found it ridiculous. I was kind to him, but he treated me coldly. Then he gave all the kindness that should have been for me to a substitute. It made my perseverance over the years seem like a joke even more. At this moment, I confirmed that I no longer loved him at all. When I saw him, I felt nothing but nausea. I looked at him with disgust and say sarcastically, Jadon, since your self-esteem is so important, you shouldn't have accepted that 100 million yuan in the first place. Just let those debt collectors kill you. But you clearly enjoyed the vested interests. Yet you didn't treat me well. You're being hypocritical. Wanting both this and that. It really makes me feel sick. Pain suddenly appeared in his eyes. And he said almost pleadingly, Ava, please don't look at me with that kind of gaze. I can't stand it. And I'll be sad. I sneered. Then have you ever thought about how I've spent the past 8 years being coldly treated by you? He apologized in a trembling voice. I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I was wrong. I was too selfish. Only thinking about myself and not considering your feelings. I can change. Ava. I can treat you as well as I did when we were children. Don't be with Ryan. Let's make up, okay? Even now, he still has the nerve to mention making up. I couldn't help but criticize. Do you mean that you want me to go back to the Jadon family and be the stepmother for your son? He eagerly showed his determination to me. I'll make Lily abort the child and then send her away. I'll never let her disturb us again. Ava. We'll have our own baby in the future. And I'll give you everything I have. I suddenly felt that Lily was also quite pitiful. Pitiful that she was infatuated with Jadon. But she and her child were actually just disposable garbage in Jadon's eyes. Of course. Now in my eyes. Jadon is no different from garbage either. Does he think I'll have a baby for him? Don't even dream about it. I rejected him mercilessly. Jadon. I won't make up with you, because I think you're dirty. I enunciated the last four words almost one by one, speaking extremely slowly. Jadon's face instantly turned deathly pale, making his red eyes look even more terrifying. I felt as if he was going to cry the next second. But I didn't feel the slightest bit of pity. I cursed him with, "You deserve it. You brought it upon yourself," and then closed the door. I just didn't expect that when I woke up and went out the next day. He was still sitting on the floor at the door, having not slept all night. He looked a bit haggard and said flatteringly, "Ava, are you going to the studio? Can I drive you there?" I gave him a blank look. Driving after not sleeping all night? I cherish my life. If you want to die, don't drag me with you. After saying that, I didn't look at him again and drove to the pottery studio I opened. He was like a lingering ghost, standing outside the door like a door god. I was extremely annoyed and asked the employee to splash water on him. Zoe was a bit scared. "Sister Ava. He's the president of the Jadon family. How dare I splash water on him?" I had to do it myself. Jadon was poured a basin of muddy water over his head by me, looking extremely discomfited. But he didn't show any dissatisfaction and just said, "As long as you can forgive me. Even if you pour a basin of muddy water on me every day, I won't bat an eye." Just being splashed with a few basins of muddy water and expecting to write off the past? How could that be possible? I glanced at him sideways and said, "You're thinking too beautifully. There's no such good thing in the world." In order to solve the problem quickly, I had to say harsh words to him. "Jadon, if you keep pestering me, I'll expose the evidence of your affair with Lily to the media. You surely don't want the company's stock price to drop and fall into a crisis again, do you?" As soon as I said this, his expression instantly became dejected. He looked at me with sorrow in his eyes. "Ava, do you really have to be so heartless?" I smiled. "Yes, Eva. I even regret not leaving you earlier." He was heartbroken. But in the end, he could only compromise with me. Because the company was the hard work of Jadon's father and mother for many years. And he couldn't ignore it. Just after Jadon and I got the divorce certificate, Lily excitedly sent me several messages. "Ava, I really feel a bit sorry for you. You've loved Jadon for so many years. But in the end, you were kicked out. From now on, everything at Jadon and the Jadon family will belong to me and the baby in my belly. Don't even think about it anymore." Oh, she didn't know that I had divided half of Jadon's wealth, and she was still dreaming of marrying into the Jadon family. However, the next day, Jadon sent her to have an abortion. I heard that she made a big scene in the operating room and was finally tied to the operating table with hemp rope. After losing the baby, she was depressed all day long and often wept. However, Jadon didn't even go to see her once. He just asked his special assistant to transfer a large sum of money to her. About a month later, Lily stabbed Jadon in the underground garage of the Jadon family, shouting that she wanted to avenge her baby. The stab was quite deep, and Jadon had to lie in the hospital for a full month before he could get out of bed. And Lily was arrested and put in jail. She was estimated to be sentenced to about a year. Ryan told me all these things at the dining table. I was completely stunned after hearing it. "Scared?" Ryan poured me a cup of tea. "Have some tea to calm down." I shook my head. "No. I just think the scene of dogs biting each other is quite shocking." Ryan chuckled. "Both of them deserve it. Every one of them." I agreed with him. After the meal, Ryan and I went to watch a movie. It was a very fresh and sweet love movie. But Ryan didn't seem to be watching the screen at all. Because every time I turned my head, I could find him looking at me with a smile in his eyes. At first, I thought there was something on my face. However, when I touched my cheek, it was clean. I couldn't help but be curious. "Ryan, why do you keep staring at me?" he said without thinking. "Because you're beautiful." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "So you didn't come to watch the movie? You came to look at me?" He was straightforward. Yeah. His love was too direct. And I felt a bit shy. When he noticed that I blushed, he couldn't help laughing. "Ava, You look even cuter when you blush. In his eyes, everything I did was cute. Even when I was being a bit temperamental, I was cute. The corners of my lips couldn't help but rise. The longer I spent with Ryan, the more comfortable I felt. He really knew me well. The foods I liked, the colors, the jewelry, the clothing brands, and so on. He knew them all like the back of his hand. Sometimes with just one look from me, he knew what I was thinking. I would say something casually, and sometimes I even forgot about it myself. But he remembered it clearly. As long as it was something I took a fancy to. No matter how hard it was to buy a limited edition. He would do everything possible to find it and give it to me. That day, Ryan came to play at my pottery studio. While he was answering a phone call, his assistant quietly told me, Ada, our president Ryan has more than 100 of your pottery works at home. I was extremely surprised. The assistant continued, when your store first opened 7 years ago, the business wasn't good. President Ryan was worried that you would be discouraged. So he wanted to help you secretly. He was also afraid that you would find out. So every time it was me who dressed up and came to buy your works. If you don't believe it, you can go to President Ryan's home when you have a chance. He has set up a room and even customized a transparent glass cabinet, specifically to store your works. Ava, hadn't say. Our President Ryan is really infatuated with you. I've been by his side for 10 years. And I can see it more clearly than anyone else. Moreover, a rich, handsome, and powerful person like him who is also so dedicated and infatuated is really hard to find even with a lantern. You mustn't miss him. Later, when I went to Ryan's home and saw the pottery works that he had neatly and perfectly collected, I suddenly felt a soreness in my nose. What kind of mood did he have during these 10 years when he left me silently? Was he very sad? He must have been. However, when I asked him, he smiled faintly and said, "Oh Eva, a low sigh. Don't feel sorry for me. I've already told you that whatever I do is out of my own will." I looked up at him. His affectionate eyes were filled with me, as if I was his whole world. I sniffled and held back my tears. Ryan, and then, are you silly? If I never got a divorce, would you wait for me for the rest of your life? Life isn't that long, is it? I can afford to wait. He said it so casually, as if a lifetime was just a fleeting moment. But there are 365 days in a year, 24 hours in a day, and 60 minutes in an hour. I have also waited for others. And I know that every minute and every second is an ordeal. Slowly, I stretched out my hand and held his. The moment I touched him, his hand trembled slightly. It took him 3 seconds to change his expression from confusion to surprise. He carefully held my hand back and asked tentatively, "Ava, if I'm not wrong, does this mean we're together?" "Yeah, I leaned against his shoulder and said softly, "Ryan, I'm sorry for making you wait for me for so long." He gently hugged me and said in a tender voice, "It doesn't matter. All my waiting was worth it, wasn't it?" When our relationship reached 1 month, it happened to be the QIXI festival. Ryan's bouquet was different from others. Others had roses. He had 999 strawberry-flavored lollipops. Well, the packaging was quite nice. The candies were also delicious. It was just a bit heavy. I took a photo of the lollipop bouquet and posted it on my WeChat moments. Soon, when out a low sigh, I received a lot of likes. Ryan unwrapped a lollipop and put it in my mouth. I smiled and said, "It's so sweet." His eyes darkened a bit. "Let me have a taste." Just as I was about to unwrap a candy for him, he took the lollipop out of my mouth and directly kissed me. This kiss lasted for a long time. When it ended, I was panting and lying in his arms. He curved his lips and said, "Yeah, it's really sweet." After a few seconds, pause. He pushed his luck and said, "I haven't had enough. I want to taste it again." If he kept kissing, my mouth would surely swell. I tried to run away, but I couldn't. He pressed me on his lap and kissed me until my head was short of oxygen. It was only when he laid me on the bed and rested me that my consciousness regained a bit of clarity. The pads of his fingers had a thin layer of calluses, and wherever they touched, they caused a shudder. We embraced, kissed, and intertwined. Outside the window, the moonlight shone down. Inside the room, it was filled with an ambiguous atmosphere.